Hello there guys, and welcome to what is our sixth C programming tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to continue with our conditional statements, if statements, and we're gonna basically do a more advanced example. But if you didn't watch the previous video, please go ahead and do so. That'll be very helpful towards this tutorial. As always, if you haven't basically watched my previous tutorials in the C programming, I recommend you do so. They will be very helpful to you. And if you haven't basically watched all my other videos, series of tutorials, it would be greatly appreciated if you could watch those as well. And if you haven't subscribed, please also subscribe. That means a lot, and leave as many comments as you can. That's also very appreciated. So to waste no time, go ahead and create a new project if you haven't done so. And you don't know how to do that, go ahead and again refer to my previous tutorials. Alright, so let's go ahead and inside our C file here, I call the conditionals, and as always we're going to include the libraries we require. And for this tutorial we'll only include the standard IO, standard input and output library. Next, let me make sure I have it. Alright, let's go inside our main next. In int main, our main function. Inside here we're gonna basically go ahead and declare a variable, so we can let's go ahead and declare an integer type variable. So I'm going to declare int, and I'm going to call it user input. Next, what we want to do here is go ahead and type printf. Don't worry, we'll go over the code at the end of the tutorial. So go ahead and type printf, and let's go ask the user enter a number, or should I say enter an integer, and then we'll wait for him to let's go ahead and type scanf underscore s. If you don't know what the scanf does, it basically will get the input from the user and store it, and we will store that in the variable in the integer data type variable here we declared called user input. Scanf is a more secure version of the scanf function, and if you can also refer to my previous tutorial that also covers this function and how to get users input. So all I want to do here is go ahead and type %d. Let's put the ampersand operator here and go ahead and type user input. So what this is doing is basically whatever integer the user inputs, it will get that and store it into user input to the variable we declared up here. That's what it's basically doing. Now let's go to our conditional part, let's go ahead and type here if user input, which is the number the user will input, the integer number user will input, is less than 0. Let's go ahead and print out something. So we'll type printf, and if it's less than 0, what we want to say, this is a negative number. Let's produce a negative number, because if it's less than 0, it's probably -1, -2, or something less than that. So that's what we want to print. What we want to say here, then next what we're going to do is let's put another if statement here, or let's compare basically data, the range. So we're comparing here, it's from this one is less than 0, so it's negative. Next, let's go ahead and type else if, and in here we're going to put user input, same thing, is equal to 0. Then let's go ahead and type the integer you entered is, and let's print out, I'll say 0. because we know that's 0. And let's go ahead and put a return character here, and let's do that for the first one also that we missed here. So that's /n, that's for a new line, to put into a new line. And let's go ahead and type an else statement here. Else, let's go ahead and type here, we're going to want to type another printf statement. So printf, this is a positive number. And let's put a return character here also, so /n. And let's go ahead. And so let's get out of our else here, and type return 0. Alright, let's go here and recap. Let's go over our code. First of all, we included a library we need to use. Go inside our main. We declared a variable here called user input, where we're printing out and asking the user to enter an integer type variable, and an integer type. So then we're scanning, and this is a more secure version of the scanf function included in C. So we're scanning, so we're basically getting the input wherever the user is, so whatever integer the user inputted, we'll get that and we'll store that in the user input variable, which we declared up here. Next, the first conditional here, we're checking if the user's input, so if the user entered a negative integer, if that is true here, then we're going to go inside our inside this if statement here, so inside this brackets, and we'll see, and we'll execute all the code that's included in between these two brackets. Here we only have a printf statement, so we're going to print out this is a negative number, since we know that if the integer is less than 0, then it has to be negative. If this is not true, however, we're going to go into our second statement here, and we're going to check if the input was actually 0. So if the input is 0, then we're going to print out you entered. These messages can be anything you wish to, and this is how you check for certain things. So I'm just typing some basically redundant message. It's not redundant here, but the message can be anything you wish it to be. So here, if we check and we see that the user input 0, we check in here. So if the user put 0, we see that it does equal 0, and we're going to print out this statement here saying the integer you entered is 0. And finally here, if these two are not true, so if it's not less than 0, and if it's not 0, so if it's not negative and it's not 0, then we did not put a condition here, basically checking if it's greater than 0 or anything, because it's automatically assumed, since we already checked the previous two. So we know if it's not negative and if it's not a 0, then we know it has to be a positive integer. So for that, we just type else, and then we just print out here. In this case, we're printing out this is a positive integer. And finally, once we check all that, we finally arrive into the return 0. We return 0 into the main up here, and then the main knows that all the line of codes here executed successfully, and we'll terminate the program. So let's go ahead and check this. Let's go ahead and build it first, and we'll check all three scenarios. So let's go ahead and build it. So it built successfully. Let's go ahead to debug and start without debugging. Alright, so let's check our first here. Let's check if it's a negative number. So if I input -5 here, I should get this is a negative number. I say this is a negative number. Alright, so this did work. So it did find that, and again, this is a structure, an if-else structure. So once it basically, so if it goes to the first condition here and it meets this condition, then it will not check the rest of the conditions. And if it doesn't basically meet the first condition, then it meets the second one. It will execute whatever is inside these two brackets here for the second condition, and it will not execute the rest. But if it doesn't meet the first or the second, then it will basically all the time it will basically perform whatever is inside the else statement here. Alright, so here we checked our first. Alright, let's go ahead and check. Let's go ahead and start with our debugging again. And let me input a 0. So what we should get here, we should get that the integer you entered is 0. So we get the integer you entered is 0. Alright. And then finally, let's go ahead and check our last. So if I input any number that is not negative and is not 0, I should get the else part here, which is this is a positive number. So let me input 3,759. This is a positive number. Okay guys, so this was a tutorial on a more advanced tutorial on conditional statements. So thank you for watching this tutorial guys. There'll be more tutorials coming out in this series, in C programming series of tutorials. If you haven't watched all my other series of tutorials, C++, Java, Visual Basic, and my Photoshop tutorials and all the other tutorials, please, if you have the chance, please go ahead and check those out. Please leave as many comments as possible, or if you have any concerns, send me a message, or if you have any ideas of tutorials you would like me to make, send me a message. If you haven't subscribed to my channel guys, please do that. It's truly greatly appreciated. And thank you for watching this video. There will be more coming up, and please don't forget to subscribe. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon with another tutorial. Thank you for watching.